What's going on, guys? Will here, back again with another video. Now last week I told you we would be back with more and more uploads, and this week we have an informative video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be going over how much does it cost for a first time driver to be able to learn to drive in the UK. We're going to be covering all the different costs that could come up. I'm going to come at it from a perspective of a young driver because that's what I did. And yeah, we'll get into it. Hopefully you guys find this video very informative, especially if you are currently learning to drive. This should give you a rough idea of how much it will cost to learn to drive if you are in the UK. We're going to be covering all the little costs, all the big costs, and then a rough total at the end. Remember, if you do enjoy today's video, please remember to leave a like down below. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that you're enjoying this content and that other people should be viewing it too. Also, leave a comment of your thoughts down below. I'm always welcome to feedback and things like that. Remember, also hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified every time I upload, especially if you ding dong that notification bell down there. And a shameless plug, why don't you just follow my Instagram as well? I haven't been active that much on there, but I intend to be more active soon. I'll leave a banner here somewhere. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the first cost that you're gonna need to worry about if you are trying to learn to drive in the UK is your provisional driving license. Now, you have to apply for this, you have to send off like a photo for it. This is gonna set you back £34 if you do it online, plus say like a £5 to get the photos done, so that's around £39 to get your provisional sorted, and this will allow you to go on driving lessons and do your theory test. Now I'm not too sure of the timescales behind the provisional, but I know it comes in a few weeks or days. I'm not too sure. It doesn't take too long, but you still have to wait for it. What they'll do is they'll send you a letter with the provisional attached with your photo, and it will be a green license. I'll leave a picture on the screen, probably up there, of what one looks like in the UK. Now, before we go into the actual driving part and the cost of a car and insurance and things like that, let's take a look at the theory test. Now, a theory test in the UK is basically a test where you go into a examination centre and you have two parts to it, and you have to pass both of the areas by a certain amount in order to be able to pass the theory test and be able to sort of take your actual test. So the first part of this test is just the general questions around the car. So it's about all the hazards and the road signs and things like that. And this is like the main bulk of it. So this one will be like multiple choice. You'll get to flag if you don't know the answer and come back to it at the end. But at the end of the day, you do need to hit quite a high percentage score. I can't remember the exact figure, so I'll leave it on screen now of how much you need to get. I think it's out of 50. And then that's how you pass the first section. Now, the second area is what they call the hazard perception test. Now, this is like a virtual reality style driving simulator where you're in the car and you have to click the flag every time you notice a hazard either in front of you on the side of the road or a potential hazard that could occur. Now with this one, you can't flag too early, otherwise it won't recognise it, or you can't flag too late, otherwise you would have failed that point, you won't get the point for it. And again, you need to hit a certain score to be able to pass this. I'll leave again what you need to get out of, I think this one's out of 47 to 48. I'll leave on the screen now what you need to get out of it. Now this theory test will cost you £23 to complete, and obviously if you do end up failing the theory test, then you will have to retake it for another £23. So as you can see, if you keep failing it, it could rack up even more. We're going to go with the minimums today. Of course, with the theory test, there are apps and stuff which allow you to practice before you go into the test. I think mine were like $4.99 on Amazon. I won't include that into the cost because you can get books and DVDs and stuff instead, but yeah, apps are really helpful. Okay, so now that you've got your provisional, you've done your theory, what is next? So what's next is you're going to want to start taking a few lessons. Now, what I've gone off is the average cost of a lesson in the UK and the average amount of hours it takes to pass in the UK. So if we look at this, the average lesson in the UK is £24 per hour. So usually they'll come in like 2-hour sessions, so you end up paying £48 per session or per day that you do. And the average person passes in 45 hours worth of driving. So as you can see, if you take that full 45 hours, that's going to cost you £1,080 just on your lessons. I was quite lucky, I managed to pass in less than that, so my costs weren't as high. There's a little trick which I'll go through in a little bit later on in the video, which will allow you to not waste as much money on lessons. Obviously, some people are going to need more than 45 hours worth of driving as well, so obviously these costs are going to be quite high. What I'm going to go off is the average, so £1,080 just for your lessons. Just taking a break from the video just to remind you that if you are enjoying, please remember to hit that like button and comment down below your thoughts. Also hit that subscribe button and ding dong that notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Let's get back into it. Cool, so now we've gone through how much it will cost for you to get the provisional license, go through the theory test and your lessons. How about a little bit of a shortcut? So with me, what I did was I got a learner driver's insurance policy, which allowed me to drive around in the car, and even my car, which I had at the time, or my mum's car, with someone that has been driving more than 5 years, I believe. It's basically a requirement on the policy, and it will tell you on your policy what the requirements are in order for them to sit with you. Basically, this is a lot cheaper than doing lessons. So I've just done a quick quote online, and this comes to £224 for the year. So obviously, as you can see, that's around sort of like 5 sessions. So if you're going to be driving, you know, a little bit every day, it does make out in your favour. And what you can do here as well is, say if your instructor is showing you how to do something, you can then practice that with the person you're sitting with. So for me, it was my uncle, and I really needed to learn the 3-point turn and parallel parking and things like that. So we went to a nearby road and we just kept practicing that over and over again, and that got me more and more prepared for my test. So now that you're ready to take your test, how much is this going to set you back? So you've done your lessons, got your provisional, got your theory, you're allowed to take your test. So the test currently is £62 on a weekday and £75 on the weekend. So I went with a weekday, £62 for the session. If you're using your instructor's car, you also need to pay him for the lesson as well. So that'll be another sort of £24 as well, and that will usually last you a couple of hours just to go through the test. If you pass first time, then that is all your learning done. You are now legally allowed to drive on the road. They'll take your provisional off you and they'll make it into the nice purple ones, which I'll show on screen, and they'll do that all for free for you. So if you pass, no extra cost after that. Obviously, if you do fail the test, you will need to rebook at a later point, which means that you'll have to pay the £62 again. I can't even remember what the total figure is so far, but I'll leave it here below just to show you what we're at so far, and then this is where the big costs will come in. So now that you're ready to drive, you need to get yourself a car. Now I done this before I passed, just so I could do the learner insurance and sort of drive around, get used to the car that I would be driving once I've passed. I've had a look at the average. Mine was around 1,500, but people are saying around £2,000 now. So we're going to go with the figure of £2,000 for your first car, and it's probably going to be a 1 litre, probably going to be over 15 years old. So yeah, we're going to add that to the total cost now, £2,000 down as well, just to get your first car. What you're then going to do is you're going to need to tax your car. Now, road tax on an average car, you can get some with no road tax, you can get some like powerful cars which have like £240 or whatever. The average that I've noticed is around £120 road tax. So we're going to add that in there, £120 into the kitty of what you'll need to be able to drive a car. And then that will be nearly done. So let's have a little recap. Provisional, theory test, lessons, learner's insurance, car, driving test, you're all passed, you're all ready to go. Now you need to get your actual insurance. Now your first year of insurance is going to be the most expensive you've ever got, and unfortunately you will probably need to get a black box for your first year at least. That's what I had to do, and my insurance was still nearly £2,000. And insurance rates have gone up through the roof then. So the average for a young driver, 17, starting out, is probably going to be around £2,000 insurance to start with. What I'll do is, if you click up there, there'll be a link to my insurance video, and that will just explain all the different hints and tips that you can use when getting a quote, just to bring that down slightly, just to save you a little bit of money. But we'll go with the average of 2,000, and we'll add that into the kitty now. Now, as you can see, the amount to learn to drive these days is absolutely astronomical. So hopefully this video and a couple of other videos has given you some hints and tips on how to bring those costs down slightly. This gives us a grand total of, insert number here because I've I can't even work it out off the top of my head. That's how much it will roughly cost you to learn to drive for the first time in the UK as like a 17, 18-year-old. With that being said, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please remember to leave a like down below. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like this content and that other people may like this content as well. Also, leave a comment as well on what you want to see in future uploads. We've got a couple of ideas coming over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, it feels really good to be back making these sorts of videos, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.